To the near side for Crabtree, he leaps, it's batted up and intercepted. Richard Sherman denies the 49ers.
Well, I told y'all Crabtree was mediocre at best, so I would never let him catch a game winner on me. This is a joke, right?
Crabtree was a mediocre receiver, mediocre. His team, if they had a choice in the top 10 to draft any receiver like a fantasy draft of the whole NFL, they wouldn't pick Crabtree.
If our team knew they were going to try me on a fade for the game, we'd be wearing our hats early.
Richard Sherman, you're going to the Super Bowl, buddy.
That's what I love about it.
Are you planning on saying whatever's on your mind for the Super Bowl?
I mean, pretty much. I mean, why not? Why not? I mean, we're talking about this is a game.
Richard Sherman certainly not afraid to voice his opinion. His coach from college, David Shaw, had this to say on Mike and Mike this morning.
That quick interview, that quick explosion of emotion and energy after a football game, that's what he showed people. And so people are going to form that initial opinion of him. You know, I played for Bill Walsh. There's one thing that Bill said. We all want great football players. We all want high-character football players. We want great people on our teams. Every once in a while, somebody's got to go on an island out there and cover Jerry Rice. Somebody's got to go on an island out there and cover Randy Moss. And that's not going to be the nicest, clean-cut guy. That guy better be living on the edge, playing on the edge. You better have supreme confidence in his ability, and you better have supreme confidence in him. That's what Richard is. He's a great person. He's a great kid. He works extremely hard. He studies the game, and there's a side of him. And you want that. Some coaches call it that dog. You want that dog in your player out there.
Yes, sir.
So now we know more about Richard Sherman, obviously hearing from his coach. NFL analyst Ryan Clark joining us again at the desk. Okay, so let's consider everything that we've talked about, especially hearing from his coach in college. Do you think that he should possibly tone it down heading into the Super Bowl?
I think, really, we could have cut it right there. Let Coach Shaw speak and not even debate it, not even talk about it at the table. That's what you want. You know, we talk about all the time on the field, you want dogs. You know, you want to go out there with people who can get grimy, you know, people who gonna grind. And that's what you have in Rich. And that's a lonely position on the corner. I can be honest, I never wanted to play it. You know, sometimes it is just you and that guy. You know, you don't have over-the-top help. It's about you and the guy that you're covering. So I don't think he needs to tone it down, because I do understand that Richard Sherman is extremely intelligent. We talked about his GPA, but he also has a lot of common sense. You know, you don't grow up in Compton and make it off the street, not that he's on the street, but make it out of Compton to Stanford without having some sense, without having some street smarts.
Right.
You know, so Rich also has that. Stephen A. alluded to it earlier, that he never said anything negative about Darrelle Revis when they were having the I'm the best cornerback battle. Negative as in you can't play.
Right.
He said he was better and some other things about him, but he never said, hey, you can't play. And I don't think there's anybody he's going to talk about on Denver's team this week that he's going to say you can't play.
No.
I mean, there could be some, you can talk about Peyton Manning's record or some other things, but you can't dispute his greatness. Demaryius Thomas is a Pro Bowl player. We saw him eat up Denard last week. You know, he had a tough game against Aqib Talib during the season, but I don't think it's going to be anything negative he can say about them. I think he understands the magnitude of the game, and he's going to give us sound bites. There are going to be some good things from Rich this week, some things that we think are juicy, some things that we enjoy. I think it's going to be a lot about how good the Seattle Seahawks are, how good he may be, some of the plays he's made throughout the season, but the weekly press conferences or the weekly media availability of Richard Sherman throughout the season, it hasn't been bad. There hasn't been a lot that we've had to talk about.
So you don't, I'm sorry, real quick. You don't think he would publicly dare Peyton to throw his way to Demaryius?
He may, but I don't see that as something that Richard would need to tone down. I don't see that as being an issue. When you want to, we talked about beating the best. When you want to say that you're the best cornerback in the NFL, you get the number one guy from the other guy's team against a Hall of Fame quarterback, and you say, hey, throw it at me. And then now you got to stand up. You know, now it's on Rich to make the plays.
Well, if Deion Sanders prime time did it in his heyday and no one had a problem with it, they don't need to have a problem with it now. Not to say nobody had a problem with it, because some people did until he became a champion, first winning in San Francisco and then ultimately in Dallas. But the point is,
I don't remember anything from Deion that I thought was over
but in terms of throw my way, throw the football my way, I want you to. You know, I remember Deion Sanders telling me he used to literally sit there and let guys beat him on a route just to give the impression that he was beat, so they could throw the football in that direction, ultimately to make up for it.
I get it, but I don't remember any pre-week talk ever from Deion, and I covered at least one of his teams.
All right.
A couple of them.
All right. But I guess for me, what I'm saying is that I think that Richard Sherman, the only thing he needs to modify are the personal attacks. He doesn't need to do that because ultimately you're going to make it about you instead of your team. And ultimately you're going to make it about the negative instead of all the positive that you have about you and the kind of message that you can send that can resonate and be disseminated, not just nationally, but worldwide. Having said all of that, I'm a guy. I am not, I don't care what sport it is. I would never be qualified to be a coach. Do I think I could be a president of a basketball operation? Absolutely.
Oh, I thought you meant of the United States.
Well, I was like, it's coming.
The president of a basketball
Background check
operation?
on that, man.
Absolutely. No, too much. I got
Yes,
too much.
background check on
I
that.
have too much of a Clinton-esque past.
Oh, yikes.
Of the United States. I know me. I'm
Are you
talking
sure
about?
it wasn't a Clinton-esque president?
Oh, boy.
Well, no. A long time ago. Long time
That's
ago.
a young,
Long time ago.
that's a young,
Long
that's a
time
young
ago.
Stevie. That's not
Long time ago.
Stephen A.
But back in the day, no question. I mean, they'll dig stuff up on me. I might, please. I can't run for office. Don't have to worry about that. Now, having said all of that, here's the deal. I bring all of that up to say, I've often said this on radio. If I were running a basketball team, you bet the house is going to be at least one thug on my squad. I want them. Not somebody that's going to talk like that, but somebody on the court or the field of play that's a rough rider, that's willing to stand on an island by himself, that has that kind of game, that kind of bravado, that kind of tenacity that I need. And somebody that doesn't mind walking and sauntering on the edge. That's everything to me. You always got to have one, because when you have that dude, and that dude can perform, the level of confidence that he installs in everybody around him, it elevates exponentially. When you have that dude, I'm just saying to you, you got some teammates. I remember having a teammate one time that looked me dead in the face. Somebody said to me, man, that good dude's scoring you one more time. When we get back to the dorm room, I'm going to whip you know what, that brother didn't score again. Because I was scared to get my butt whipped by my own teammate. Sometimes it takes that. Sometimes it takes somebody that's willing to cause trouble because he's walking on the edge and he instills that level of confidence in you. Every squad needs that rough rider. And sometimes it's with their mouth. Sometimes with a little bit something extra. It doesn't need to be in the press or the front of the cameras, but you need that kind of element on every roster.
Okay, back to Deron. I'm not sure he had the dog in him. He was just simply the most talented athlete I have ever been around. I mean, it was just scary talent. His teammates looked at him in awe, and so did the other quarterback. So they were just afraid to even throw it in his area code.
He had a little dog. He was fighting Andre Rison.
That's right. The prime time I know's got some dog in him.
For TV, but
the prime time I know's got some dog in him.
Some, but okay. Richard definitely has that thing that we're talking about. He also, I think, likes to write checks that he has to cash, where pre-week he'll say something just to heap pressure on himself so that he has to push himself to rise to the occasion on Sunday. So would he say something not derogatory about Peyton, but again, to Deron, please throw my way. Throw me 5 balls. Go for Demarius. See if you can beat me deep, Peyton Manning. If I were Richard, I would do something like that. Not only put pressure on myself, but to put pressure on them to go ahead and throw to Demarius. Full disclosure, I asked Ryan about this a little while ago before in one of our breaks. But to me, Richard Sherman actually has a pretty advantageous matchup with Demarius. I think he can play him because he's physical, he's fast, he can get right up in his face, he can get rough with him, get some hands on him early. And Demarius, I don't think, can run past Richard Sherman. He's not quick and fast like your guy Antonio Brown. That could be a little tougher matchup for a Richard Sherman, right? So again, I think Richard will go into this game with a lot of confidence because that is a great matchup for him against a Demarius that takes a little while to get unwound.
I have just a personal, nothing to knock. I'm applauding Richard Sherman's, elevation and potential greatness, if not there already. Peyton Manning has a multitude of weapons, not just one.
Sure.
And Peyton Manning is going to exploit weaknesses.
Yeah.
In order for Richard Sherman to have the impact, I have no doubt he's hoping to have in this Super Bowl, it's not just one dude. You've got to be prime time. You've got to be the kind of dude Put me wherever the action is so I can shut this down. Julius Thomas is wreaking havoc, put me on him.
Okay.
Demarius Thomas is wreaking havoc, put me on him. All of a sudden they going to Eric Decker, put me on him. You got to be that kind of dude in a game of this magnitude. Am I wrong?
Yeah, but
it's going to take that.
We're talking about Richard Sherman. There's 3 Pro Bowlers on this defense.
Oh, yeah, with Thomas, Cam Chancellor, all of them.
So I think we're kind of getting away from what it's really going to be. And this is what Rich wanted. This is why Rich says the things that he says, why he does the things that he's done. Because now we're talking about Richard Sherman, not what those other guys in the back can actually do.
Yeah, but he's going to need to be what he was this season and in these playoffs for Denver to lose this game.
I agree.
Because he can't all of a sudden start giving up receptions.
Right.
Ryan, earlier we asked you about Tom Brady's legacy. Let's talk about Peyton Manning since we're here and his legacy. Winning the Super Bowl, what does that do for it?
I think it removes the buts. You know, every time we're talking about Peyton Manning, it's like, yeah, he's the best regular season quarterback of all time, but he's, lost so many playoff games. Until now, he had more playoff losses than wins. He lost